What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NASCAR Cup Series race at Darlington on Draftkings. Nice little slate here, a lot to get into, some interesting value that we're going to talk about. But before I do that, if you're new here, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel. Really helps me grow. Turn on that notification bell so you will know when I am going live on Sunday, probably about 12:30. I'll be going live to discuss the slate, answer any questions that you guys have. But yeah, if you want to get more of my content as well, you can always subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put the link down below. It's $10 a month. You're going to get content for all three series, spreadsheets, projections, optimal lines, a bunch of stuff. All three series combined, so be sure to go hit that link down below. Yeah, I think that's really all I got to say on that. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter. So yeah, here we go. We're going to start out Kyle Larson, $11,400. He starts 14th. To pay off his salary, he's going to have to get up front and lead laps. You're not playing Kyle Larson here as a place differential play. You're playing him as a dominator. And he certainly can do that. He's been absolutely dominant at the intermediate tracks this year. He has best average finish in the field, 509 laps led at intermediate tracks, 179 fast laps at intermediate tracks. In the last 5 races, he has the 9th best average finish and the 6th best average position. That is a little bit skewed, obviously, from, last week. He, should have won at Kansas. But 402 laps led is the second most in the field. So, yeah, he's really good. I would say, Larson's probably going to be popular here. They're not racing the normal package we've seen at Darlington in the past. They're racing the other one that we see on the short tracks, and which Larson hasn't been great with this year. So it is an interesting note that I don't think he's a lock to be dominator play. But if you're playing like cash games, I'd probably go Larson. I won't be having a ton of ownership to him, but I will have some because I do think it's still Kyle Larson intermediate track, and he's done well at Darlington in the past and bad and worse equipment. So I still do like him. It's just be a little cautious. Joey Logano's up next. He starts 12th, 11,100, as well as Larson. You have to pay for him to lead laps. Really not too high on Logano here. 6th best average finish at Darlington, 8th at intermediate, 6th at steep tracks. He hasn't really been that great at the intermediates this year either. 19 best average finish, 19 laps led at Darlington, 312 at intermediates, 118 at steep tracks. It's just like you look at him compared to all the other guys around him. He's just not as great at the intermediates. He's still a good driver. Joey Logano ends up winning this race. No one's gonna be surprised, but I still think it's less likely than some of these other guys. Last 5 races, 5th best average finish, 4th best average position, 198 laps led. I think he's a fine play, but I probably prefer pretty much everyone else in this 10K, 11K range to him. But I don't hate it. I'll probably have some exposure to him. Denny Hamlin starts 7th. He's going to need to lead laps, pay off his salary. Hamlin's been a great driver at Darlington over the years. 2nd best average finish, 4th best at intermediates, 4th at steep tracks. When you look at average position, 3rd best at Darlington, 6th at intermediates, 2nd at steep tracks. Only 31 laps led here a year ago, but 604 laps led at intermediates, 536 at steep tracks. Last 5 races, 2nd best average finish, best average position, 550 laps led. He's been up front all year. He's going to win one of these soon. If we're going to keep going with this trend of basically a new winner every single week, we've only had one 2-time winner this year. Hamlin's up next. It's like Hamlin or Chase Elliott or Harvick. It seems like they'd be the ones up next. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hamlin wins this race. Like him as a potential dominator play. It's going to be someone I'm interested in. Martin Truex Jr. Starts 4th, $10,300. He's going to need to lead laps as well. Don't look at his average finishes at Darlington. Look at his average position. He should have won the second race or the third race at Darlington last year. It was either going to be him or Chase Elliott, and they wrecked each other for the lead with 20, 30 laps left, and that ruined it. So, but he did have the 5th best average position at Darlington a year ago, 3rd at intermediates and 3rd at steep tracks. When you look at laps led, he has 212 laps led at Darlington, 588 intermediates, and 301 at steep tracks. Last 5 races, best average finish in the field, 2nd best average position, and 191 laps led. I love Truex. He's probably I think he actually is my favorite dominator play here. It's between him and Larson. I think I prefer Truex a little bit just because we've seen him do well with this package, the NASCAR car package this year. And we've seen him do well at Darlington. That combination makes me like him a little bit more. But they're kind of 1A, 1B at this point for me. Really like both of them. I'm gonna have a lot of both of these guys in tournaments. They're probably gonna be too highest owned in this range as well, but I don't really care. Truex looks really good, and he's gonna be someone I want to get to. I also like Keselowski starting from the pole. He's going to need to lead laps to pay off that salary as well. 7th best average finish at Darlington, 5th at intermediates, 3rd at steep tracks. When we look at laps led, he led 87 here a year ago, 537 at intermediates and 296 at steep tracks. In the last 5 races, the average finish isn't great, but average position is a lot better at 8th and 116 laps led. So I'm going to be interested in Keselowski. This is going to be a tournament guy. You're going to have to get different because, look, the guys that everyone expects to lead laps are going to be Larson and Truex, but more than likely, stuff happens where one of those guys ends up not being an optimal dominator, and some other guy in this field is going to be it. So that's where you're going to have to start getting guys like Hamlin, Logano, Keselowski, maybe Kyle Busch, Bowman, Chase Elliott, Byron, Blaney, like those guys. Well, not Blaney. We'll talk about Blaney. But I mean, that's where we're gonna have to go with that. So Keselowski going to be in play for tournaments. If you're only playing 1 or 2 laps, probably want to get there. But if you're playing a lot, Keselowski is going to be someone I really like. Kyle Busch coming off a win, starting third, 9,800. I mean, he's fine if you want to go there. 10th best average finish at Darlington, third at intermediate, second at steep tracks. Although his average position is not even close to as good. No laps led at Darlington a year ago, but 209 at intermediates and 270 at steep tracks. He's been running pretty well. 7th best average finish in the last 5 races. 7th best average position. I think he's fine. I think he's very less likely than most of these guys to lead laps. I mean, even he won last week, but he only led like 20 laps. It wasn't like a dominating performance from him. He was running up front the whole time, and I think he'll do that again. But you're gonna need him to lead laps, pay off that salary, and I just don't see it. I mean, it can happen. Like, don't get me wrong. Kyle Busch has had success here in the past. We've seen him win here, but still, it's just not not a guarantee by any means. Kevin Harvick, $9,600 starting second. He's also gonna need to lead laps. Look, he's great here. Best average finish at Darlington a year ago. Second at intermediates. Best at steep tracks. Same goes for average position. He led 201 laps here a year ago. Most at intermediate in the field and most at steep tracks in the field. But we all know the struggles of Harvick this year. He hasn't been fast. 0 laps led in the last 5 races. In fact, he hasn't led a lap at a non-plate race all year long. 9th best average finish in the last 5 races. 8th best average position. He'll probably run top 10, maybe top 5. But I have a hard time seeing him getting out to the early lead over Keselowski and possibly even Kyle Busch. And I just have a hard time seeing him get up there. I mean, we just haven't seen the speed from him to lead laps. And I mean, look, this shows how great of a race car driver Kevin Harvick is the fact that whole Stewart-Haas racing team, which if you didn't know that, it's Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, Eric Almirola, and those 3 have been garbage. Like, they've been, outside the top 20 most of the weeks. And Kevin Harvick's out here wheeling it for a top 5. Like, I mean, that's just so impressive. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the speed to get up front, but the guy's just a talented driver. He'll get a win here at some point. And I mean, it could be this, but I don't think Kevin Harvick's going to get a win off of something that happened like last week with a late race green white checkered, that kind of situation. Not a dominating performance. I don't really see that. So not going to be too interested here, but I understand if you want to get there based on track history, but still probably not going to go there. Alex Bowman, really like him here, $9,400 starting 19th. He needs a top 8, pay off his salary. He has been very good at Darlington in the past. 4th best average finish here a year ago, 2nd best average position. Other intermediate steep tracks have been solid, not as great, but he did lead 42 laps here a year ago, 421 overall intermediate tracks. He is dominator upside, but he definitely has a place differential for sure. The 6th best average finish in the last 5 races, only the 13th best average position. He should get that top 8. Like, if this race goes clean for him and there's no issues, like last week he had some issues. Like, I mean, it's just, if that doesn't happen, he should definitely get a top 8. But, things could go better for him and we can see him get out front and possibly lead laps. I wouldn't be that surprised. So, really like Alex Bowman here. I think it's kind of similar to the Harrison Burton play in the Xfinity Series if you've watched that video already. It's just, he's too cheap for what he needs to do to pay off the salary. And he also comes with a little bit of upside of potential laps led. It's a lot less likely than some of the other guys, but it's there. So Alex Bowman is going to be really interested in here. Chase Elliott starts 6th at $9,200. Look, he only has the 11th best average finish at Darlington a year ago, but he had the 4th best average position. That tells me a lot more that he just, I mean, again, like I talked about last year, the 3rd race, well, honestly, both races, the 2nd and 3rd race. So they raced 3 times at Darlington last year. If you don't remember the COVID crap, the first 2 races were Darlington. I don't remember how he did in the first one, but the second one, he was like in 2nd or 3rd place, and then he got wrecked by Kyle Busch, and that was when, he gave him the middle finger. It was that classic picture now. And then the other Darlington race in the playoffs, Truex and Elliott wrecked going for the lead. So that's not surprising that his average position is that high. 142 laps led at Darlington, 496 intermediate, 450 at steep tracks. When you look at the last 5 races, Chase Elliott hasn't been as bad as everyone gives him credit for. 3rd best average position, or finish. Only the 10th best average position isn't fantastic. But this is kind of like Kyle Busch last week. Like, he's just too cheap. Like, he's way too cheap. You're just getting a driver that should not be $9,200. It's about time for him to break through. I think this could definitely be the race. We've seen him have success in the past. He only needs a top 2 to pay off that salary, but dominator points. I wrote down top 2 early laps, pay off the salary. Of course, he can get some fast laps in there. So I really like Chase Elliott here. I just think he's way too cheap. I think he should be more expensive than Harvick. Honestly, more expensive than Kyle Busch. The rest of the guys I kind of agree with, but look, I like Chase Elliott here a lot. This is gonna be someone I get a good bunch of this week as a potential dominator. Ryan Blaney is not going to be someone I'm interested in. He sucks at Darlington, man. Like, he is bad. 18th best average finish at Darlington and 16th best average position. Not good for him. This is not an ideal track. 0 laps led. He's been running pretty well. Only the 12th best average finish, but 2nd best average position. And he was up in the top 5 before the last restart last week, where he almost wrecked Larson. Or no, Larson almost wrecked him, and they fell back. But yeah, I'm just not going to be interested here. He just sucks at Darlington. I mean, there's just really nothing else to say about it. I mean, if he breaks through and, changes this year, good for him. But I don't expect it, so I'm not going to go there. William Byron, going to be pretty interested here. Well, not pretty interested. He's going to be, a guy that's going to be low owned again. And he should get a top 10. I mean, if he keeps up this top 10 run, like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but he is literally the youngest driver to have 10 straight top 10s in NASCAR history. So that's pretty impressive. We'll see if he keeps that streak up this week. He needs a top 2 to lead laps, pay off that salary. It's just looking for Byron. You look at him this year, 4th best average finish, 4th best average position. Only 11 laps led in the last 5 races, but he's gotten some fast laps. He did well at Darlington last year at the 3rd best average finish in the field at Darlington a year ago. So I do like Byron. He's going to be someone I'm interested in. Christopher Bell needs a top 10 to pay off the salary. Going to be really interested here. Christopher Bell's been running pretty solid this year. 11th best average finish in the last 5, 11th best average position. Only 9 laps led, but we're not really paying him to lead laps. And, I mean, he's a good driver. I actually really like Christopher Bell. I wasn't a huge fan coming into this year, but watching him this year, I think this guy's like legit going to be really good. So Christopher Bell, really like this play. Should be able to get a top 10 if everything stays clean. And I mean, I don't know, I haven't really said anything about this, but Joe Gibbs Racing, like, the last, 5 to 6 years has been, dominant at this track. So that's something to note. And he's in a Joe Gibbs Racing car. I mean, even Eric Jones balled out. Kurt Busch, we'll talk about in a minute. Kurt Busch, $8,400, starting 17th. Needs a top 9 to pay off that salary. Look, his numbers look good. 4th best average finish at Darlington a year ago. 7th at intermediates. 7th at steep tracks. When you look at the last 5 races, though, Kurt Busch has not been driving too well. 19th best average finish. 16th best average position. He could get a top 9, but probably not going to be someone I focus on too much. Eric Jones. I'm interested to see what Eric Jones, ownership's going to be, because coming into the week, I was like, oh god, we're going to get chalk Eric Jones this week. And then I saw the salary for it, and I was like, oh my gosh, they made Eric Jones $8,200, and I kind of feel like I'm probably the same reaction as most people are going to have. So I don't think anybody's going to be on Eric Jones, which actually makes him an interesting tournament play. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to do great. Now, I know Eric Jones, historically, I mean, this is probably his best track. Like, he has two career wins. One of them was here, and he, legit dominated that race at Darlington and won. And then, last year he was great, too. Like, I'm pretty sure in the 20 car, he never finished worse than 8th at Darlington. So that's pretty impressive, and he drove that car for 3 years. So, obviously, he's in the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports now. That's not anywhere close to as good of equipment, and it's not like he's been running fantastic recently either. Only a 26th best average finish in the field, 25th best average position. But if he really is that good at this track, I mean, he needs a top 14 to pay off that salary. I could see him wheeling his way up there. It's going to be someone that is not, going to be high owned, not going to be someone I get a ton of ownership to, but if you're playing a lot of lineups, I think it's an interesting tournament play, because I don't think he's going to be that highly owned, but this is definitely his best track. We've seen him get a top 10 this year. He has a top 10, I believe, at Vegas, so there's potential for it to happen. It's very low possibility that he pays it off, in my opinion. Like, a top 14 for the 43 car, it's not, it's not something you're looking at like, wow, that's something that's really, doable, but, I mean, it's going to be interesting for me, because this is really going to tell me, unless something, mechanical happens where he gets caught up in an accident and isn't his fault, but it's really going to show me this week, is Eric Jones, actually a, really good driver, or is it just product of the car, the decent amount of success he had in that 20, because this is a track he should be able to get a top 14 in that car. Now, I know the car isn't good, but he should be able to outdrive the car, and I wouldn't be that surprised, but at the same time, I still feel like it's more likely he doesn't pay it off. So, play with that as you will. That's how I feel about it. I think it's, a deep tournament play. You're playing a lot of lineups, maybe get 1 or 2 of Eric Jones. If you're only playing a few, I probably wouldn't go there at all. That's not a spot I'd play. So that's just my thought on that. I think it's an interesting tournament play, because I don't think he's going to get ownership. I thought he would coming into the week, but at $8,200, no one's paying $8,200 for that 43 car. It's just not happening unless it's a plate race. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Eric Almirola, $8,000, starting 27th. He is going to need a top 5. Wait, that's not the right guy. A top 15 to pay off the salary. I could see it, actually. He's pretty good. He's done well at Darlington. 7th best average finish, 5th best average position. It's just, I mean, he's been bad this year. 17th best average finish in the last 5 races, 17th best average position. But, I mean, his experience should come into play. I think he should be able to outdrive the car. I think Eric Almirola is a pretty solid play. Probably want to go there in cash, but I do like him for tournaments. Matty Benedetto, starting 8th, $7,800, going to need a top 6. I mean, he held his position last week and paid off, and I believe he was optimal, which, that was rough for me because I didn't play any Matty Benedetto, but I don't see it again this week. 14th best average finish at Darlington, 11th at intermediates, 12th at steep tracks. When you look at his last 5 races, he has been running pretty well. 8th best average finish and 12th best average position. Really turned his season around. Has turned his season around, because he started out brutally awful this year. but he's going to need a top 6. I could see it, but I feel like it's very less likely than some of these other guys around here paying off their salaries, so probably not going to go there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., $7,600, starting 28th, is going to need a top 16. I like Ricky here. Last 5 races, 15th best average finish, 15th best average position. I'm fine with that. I mean, he's got to outperform his average finishes last year at Darlington, but Ricky's been a whole lot better this year overall, and especially at car speed has been a whole lot better. So I like Ricky here. Definitely going to be someone I want to get some ownership to. Like, I'd much rather play Ricky Stenhouse Jr. than Eric Emerald or Eric Jones. Like, I feel way more comfortable there going to that salary savings. So going to like him in pretty much all formats here. Austin Dillon, $7,500, starting 9th. Dillon's going to need a top 7 to pay off that salary. Actually ran well at Darlington last year. 9th best average finish and 11th best average position. In the last 5 races, Dillon has had the 13th best average finish and a 14th best average position. I feel more confident that Dillon pays off that salary than someone like DiBenedetto. So I do like Austin Dillon. I'm going to play him in tournaments. Another guy that's only going to play if I'm playing a lot of lineups. Probably want to go there if I'm only making a few, but I do like Austin Dillon a decent amount enough. Tyler Reddick needs a top 8 to pay off the salary. Kind of the same play as Austin Dillon. This is actually a track that should play to Reddick's. He should like this track. It's not like he's been running great this year or anything, but this is a track where you run around the outside for the most part, right up close to that wall, and that's what Tyler Reddick does. So this should be a track that he actually succeeds at. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him like inside that top 5 or something by the end of this race. There's a late race restart, maybe even contend for the win. Like, this should be like Miami's a track everyone loves Reddick for, but this is kind of a similar place to it. So I think Reddick should have a good run. Going to be interested there. Ryan Newman starting 20 if it's going to need a top 13. He was actually good at Darlington last year, but still not going to be all that excited for it. 14th best average finish actually isn't bad, but 25th best average finish in the last 5 races, 24th best average finish or average position. I just don't see it getting that top 13. Not going to go there. Cole Custer, he needs a top 15 to pay off that salary, starting 24th. The last 5 races for him has been brutal as well. Like I said, Stewart Haas Racing has been garbage. 24th best average finish, 23rd best average position. He wasn't great at Darlington here a year ago. It could happen. I'd much rather Cole Custer than Ryan Newman, but still not going to be too interested there. Bubba Wallace, 7,000, starting 23rd, is going to need a top 15 to pay off the salary. Again, Bubba's been trash as well this year. A little bit better than these guys. 22nd best average finish and 20th best average position, but that equipment is so much better than everyone else's around here in this price range. It's like not even close. So if we can see Bubba, outperform his equipment, then this could actually be a good race. I believe he actually won here in the Truck Series. Obviously, that means absolutely nothing, but that's just something to know. I think he does know how to get around here, so wouldn't be too surprised. And he actually did decent enough in the 43. Like, for what the 43 car is capable of, he did decent enough last year at this track. So I don't hate it. I think Bubba Wallace is an interesting tournament play. I play him every week, and it kind of screws me almost every week, but I'm going to keep going there. I don't think he'll get a ton of ownership this week either. Chase Briscoe starts 22nd. To pay off the salary, he's going to need a top 15. And he's been bad this year. I know he won here in the Xfinity Series a year ago, but 27 best average finish, 26 best average position over the last 5 races. Brutal. Top 15 seems like a stretch, so probably not going to be all that excited there. Suarez, $6,700, starting 15th. I think he needs the top 12. Things got to play right for him. I could see, scenarios where this does work out, where, he's just kind of running around the top 20 the whole race. There's some late race accidents, and, some stuff happens, and he ends up in the top 12. I could see it. But for the most part, still feels really unlikely. Probably not going to be too high on him. Might throw him in a few lineups, but not going to be someone I want to get a ton of exposure to. Chris Buescher starting 11th at $6,500 is interesting. Needs a top 10 to pay off the salary. Buescher's actually been pretty solid this year. 16th best average finish, 19th best average position in the last 5 races. At the 1.5 mile tracks, Buescher's just been balling this year. It's just been really good. The car's been fast. It's just, needing a top 10 is kind of rough. I was liking Chris Buescher when you're needing like a top 13, 14, 12, something like that. Top 10 is pushing a little bit. I know he finished 8th last week, but that was only because of the late race restart. He was on 15th, 16th to start that. So, Chris Buescher, I think he's interesting. I much prefer Chastain. Chastain's going to be the guy I want to go to here. He always did well here in the Xfinity Series. In fact, he probably should have won the second Darlington race last year. It wasn't for him and Hamlin wrecking each other, but recently he's been running pretty well. 18th best average finish the last 5 races, 20th best average position. He's going to need a 14th place run to pay off the salary. This is a track that I think Ross Chastain should do well at, so I like Chastain. I prefer Chastain to pretty much everyone else in this range I just kind of went over. So I do really like him. Michael McDowell starting 13th, needs a top 12. I'm just not going to go there. It's just I mean, it could happen, but I doubt it. Ryan Preece is going to be the chalk this week. Starting 29th, he only needs a top 20 to pay off the salary. It was actually decent here a year ago. 16th best average finish, 19th best average position in the last 5 races. Has not been great for him. 29th best average finish, 29th best average position. There's a reason he's starting that far back. So chalk Ryan Preece is scary, but I don't hate it. I mean, I don't ever like playing chalk Ryan Preece, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, you need some value. He should offer you some place differential. He does have top 20 upside, so I don't hate it. Corey LaJoie needs a top 21. Don't see that happening. Anthony Alfredo, Justin Haley is going to need a top 22. Yeah, I don't see that happening. And Anthony Alfredo needs a top 20. So don't see any of those things happening. Again, Alfredo be his best runner of his career. Corey LaJoie, if you want to go to 1-3, it'd be LaJoie. But he has not been running well. He's that Spire team has been better at the short tracks than not this. 20th best average finish, 20th best average position. The bigger tracks he's been just bad at this year, so probably not going to be too excited about that. But that's really all I got. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for checking it out. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to subscribe to the Patreon. Go hit that link down below and follow me on Twitter. That link down below as well. Have a great rest of your day. Tune in for the live stream on Sunday.